kwa taarifa mbalimbali ndani ya Tanzania, habari za michezo, burudani, lakini habari za kisiasa, chambuzi mbalimbali unaweza kuzipata kupitia channel yako mahususi murwa yenye burudani nyingi ya Wazuhuru Television. Usikose subscribe channel yetu, alafu utakuwa wa kwanza kupata habari.
IAA Global President and the CEO, Mr. Emmanuel Johannes, Chairperson of African Federation of Institutes of Internal Auditors, or Assistants Internal Auditor Generals in attendance, if at all they are present, members of the Governing Board of the Institute of Internal Auditors Tanzania, distinguished stakeholders, without forgetting my brother, CPA Pius Maneno, NBA Executive Director, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm delighted to be here this morning and extend my sincere thanks to the Institute of Internal Auditors Tanzania for inviting me to officiate the today's Stakeholders Forum for Internal Audit in Tanzania. In a similar perspective, let me first congratulate the Institute of Internal Auditors Tanzania for initiating the idea for this forum and inviting Mr. Richard Chambers, the President of the Institute of Internal Auditors Global, to be our keynote speaker for this forum. I feel proud to recognize that IIA Tanzania is hosting the African Federation of the Institutes of Internal Auditors, and that the chairman of the federation, Mr. Emmanuel Johannes, is a Tanzanian. Also, two countries including Tanzania represent the continent of Africa in the IAA Global Board. In this case, I take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Agustino Bogera, who is raising the flag of the Tanzania in the IAA Global Board as one of the Global Board members. Congratulations for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I well understand that internal auditing is a key pillar of good financial governance. Thus, the government of Tanzania has continuously set high priority towards enhancing accountability structures for an efficient and transparent public financial management systems. For the case of public sector, as an example, the Internal Auditor General's Division under the Ministry of Finance and Planning is a leading division and responsible for 1. Developing internal audit policies, rules, standards, manuals, circular and guidelines in line with international standards of internal auditing as issued by IAA Global. 2. Reviewing and appraising compliance to write down laws, regulations, standards, systems and procedures in ministries, departments and agencies, as well as in local government authorities, executive agencies and donor-funded projects. But it is also responsible to ensure that controls and the proper accountability of the public money are put in place. To recognize the role of internal auditors in the public sector of Tanzania as a strategic partner in the country's transformation, I will highlight the most important developmental policy objectives by the government of Tanzania with respect to internal auditing. One of the key objectives of the Ministry of Finance Strategic Plan 2017-2022 is the improvement of financial management and the accountability. It entails strengthening internal audit competence, improving the quality of internal audit, mainstreaming of risk management and fraud prevention programs, in all local government authorities, ministries, departments, and agencies. The goal is to foster effective resource mobilization, allocation and utilization, as well as performing monitoring and evaluation. For this purpose, internal auditors across the country need to function in their role as internal advisor of risk and governance. Ladies and gentlemen, furthermore, a key dimension of Tanzania Development Vision 2025 is good governance, and thus promoting a culture of accountability. The cultivation of principle of good governance and the functional legal and regulatory framework is an instrumental for the further development of our country. Moreover, a culture of accountability, which is partly facilitated by an effective internal audit systems, contributes to achievement of developmental goals. For instance, Tanzanian 5-year development plan, phase 2, 2015-17 to 2021, emphasizes the importance of good governance and accountability in financing the program's activity, specifically efforts to combat revenue leakages and corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2015, the United Nations adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The SDGs covers a wide range of social issues such as climate change, natural resource management, economic growth, hunger, poverty, as well as peace, justice, and strong institutions. It is imperative to note that the achievement of many SDGs depends on effective, transparent, and accountable use of development assistance, as well as countries' own budget. Thus, good financial governance and an effective internal audit system is key to sustainable implementation of SDGs. All these examples underscore that internal auditing is indeed a strategic partner in Tanzanian economic transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know that internal audit is an independent examination of systems, internal controls, and other policies of the organization in order to ensure adherence to policies, procedures, guidelines, and the standards set so as to prevent frauds and the misappropriation of assets of the organization. In this case, we need the internal audit to be able to assess the correctness of financial statements, to detect errors, to detect frauds, to detect misappropriation or misstatement in the books of accounts, to assess compliance to regulations, to assess adequate disclosure of information, and assess existence of the transactions. We understand that there is always a gap between the information provided in the performance by the management and the owners who have to make various decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, the frameworks we promised to observe require us to ensure that there is adequate segregation of duties, controls, authorization and approvals, supervision, performance, and management. Therefore, internal audit should help the management to provide insight to assist decision makers by assessing which programs and policies are working and which are not working, sharing best practices and benchmarking information, and looking horizontally across the government organizations and vertically between the levels of government to find opportunities to borrow, adopt, adapt, or re-engineer management practices. The audit function helps institutionalize organization learning by providing ongoing feedback to adjust the policies. Auditors conduct their work systematically and objectively to develop detailed understanding of operations and draw conclusions based on evidence. Therefore, audit can provide a fair description of problems, resources, roles and responsibility that, combined with the formal requirement on government auditing, usually do not explicitly include the provision to stimulate learning behavior on the part of the public bodies audited. However, in practice, many auditors would agree that ultimate goal of auditing is to contribute to better performance of the auditees. A government audit office can be considered as part of the institutionalized learning ability of the government. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition, internal audit should help organizations to look forward by identifying trends and bringing attention on emerging challenges before they reach crisis proportions. The audit function can highlight challenges to come, such as from demographic trends, economic conditions, or changing security threats, and identify risks and opportunities arising from rapidly evolving science and technology, but also the complexity of modern society and the changes in the nature of the economy. These issues often represent long-term risks that may far exceed the terms of office for most elected officials and can sometimes receive low priority for attention where scarce resources drive more short-term focus on urgent concerns. Additionally, a common approach using in auditing, risk-based auditing, focuses the audit on the organization's overall risk management framework, which can help in identifying and detailing unacceptable risks. Through risk-based auditing, the audit function provides useful and relevant information to the organization for managing its risks. Through these roles, auditors protect core government values by providing oversight functions, insight, and foresight services. Government auditors help ensure that managers and officials conduct public business in a transparent, fair, and honest, with equity and probity, while conducting their own work using the highest standard of integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, globally, governments at all levels have created internal audit functions to serve organizations through their focused, real-time presence with the organization. Although the internal audit function can add significant value to the organization because of its detailed familiarity and the understanding of operation conditions, it may be hampered in upholding the public trust if protections to the independence are not established and cannot be maintained. Governments must establish protections to ensure that internal audit functions are empowered to report significant issues to appropriate oversight authorities. In particular, when internal audit functions reports to officials who may also be held accountable for any significant problem, the function needs safeguards to protect its independence. Examples of such protections include statutory requirements that prevent the audited organizations from transferring. Ladies and gentlemen, considering the pivotal role of internal audit systems In the accountability chain of good financial governance, it becomes evident that we need to gain an understanding for underlying issues hampering effective internal audit in Tanzania. Only when stakeholders share deeper understanding for the interconnections and interdependencies of the challenges at hand, we will be able to jointly build an effective internal audit systems in the public sector as well as in the private sector in Tanzania. It is for this purpose and some more that I welcome you here today, your expertise that facilitate the discussions in this forum. As stakeholders, you have an important role and a substantiated interest in internal auditing and the sound public financial management. Last but not least, I would like to thank you very much for inviting me in this important forum of sharing experiences and contributing to the good governance in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the honor to declare that this forum is officially opened. Thank you very much.